Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a Brotherhood podcast. I hope you guys had an awesome week. We have the returning champ, Josh Morgan, aka Shoot More, Miss Less, a master shooter. So welcome back. Thank you for joining us. I think it was 3 months we had you last on, or right?
Yeah, just about. Yeah, I want to say it was 3 months or so. Yeah.
So a lot of new developments, a whole bunch of stuff has happened between then and now. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for anybody who hasn't seen you on here before? Please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey guys, my name is Josh Morgan. I'm a USPSA production master. I have 2 major match wins in the Western PA section. So I'm the production champion, currently reigning. So I'll have to go back and defend that in 2025. I've been shooting since late 2020, early 2021. Started taking it super seriously about 3 years ago when I switched over to shooting USPSA predominantly. But yeah, I've got master classifications in red dots, irons, but I'm currently shooting in the production division. So that's what I'm up to.
All right.
Yeah, brother.
Alrighty, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And we did have a quote of the day, didn't we, Austin?
Yeah, it's life doesn't have problems, you do.
Why don't you break it down for us?
Well,
You don't have to.
no. So, damn, I feel like Josh hates me.
No,
I feel like he hates
No.
me. No,
He's just putting you
I
on the
mean,
spot.
everyone's always quick to say, life sucks. You know, my life has all these problems going on. Like everything, life doesn't have problems. You do, and you just got to change your mindset and change your attitude and fix what you got going on and keep it running.
yes, sir.
Keep it moving. Keep
Yeah.
it
And
pushing.
remember that quote?
Yeah.
It was the soft men that create hard times, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right, they're making-
exactly.
So yeah, man.
Well, they interviewed all the people that survived trying to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge,
Mhm.
and all of them besides one said that they wish they were dead. All of them said as soon as they stepped off the ledge, they were like, "Oh shit, I don't want to die."
It's too
Yeah.
late, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They got lucky, man.
Right?
Yeah, for real. We got a
Imagine
second
how
chance.
they hit that water, man.
Ugh. Slap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, aren't they jumping like over 100 feet into the water?
That thing is high,
Oh.
man. I don't know how
Yeah.
high, but it's high.
That should be like smacking
I've been
concrete,
on it.
man. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Y'all
I've
ever
been
did
on
like
it.
a belly flop wrong in the pool, man?
Yeah, I've belly flopped.
That shit hurts, man.
Yeah, I've been on the Golden Gate Bridge. It is it's a pretty big one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
One of the largest. So, Josh, do you want to talk about your latest competition that you shot at?
Yeah. So I got back this past Sunday from the US Extreme Open, which was an IPSC match. So it's like the international version of USPSA that was hosted in the Volusia County Gun Club. So smack dab in between Orlando and Daytona. Beautiful range. They had a ton of pits, very well run. Gorka Ibanez is the guy who owns that range. He's a USPSA Grandmaster, all around good dude. But they do a really cool thing where they provide slots to people who are really, really good shooters across the world. And so if you're really good, they'll let you shoot their match for free. And so what that does is it creates an environment where all these top shooters are competing and you get to go head to head. And because it's in January at the beginning of the season, everybody can sort of use that as their benchmark match to see where they're at. So I originally signed, I was in production, and Eric Graffel, who is the most dominant like practical shooting guy in the world, was also signed up in production, and then he switched over to production optics the day of the match, which was depressing. I was excited to stack myself up against him and see exactly what that gap looked like. But I got to shoot for 3 days. It was 30 stages, 10 stages each day. I came in 17th in my division, and I was at 73% of Mason Lane, who is a phenomenal shooter. He shot that match 94% of Max Leograndis, who was shooting a PCC, and he's one of the best PCC shooters in the world. He shot 94% of him with a production gun, which I can't conceptually wrap my head around exactly how you do that, but he did it. So scoring 73% of him, I was pretty happy. But it was 3 days. We got to see some gators. We were super excited about that. Got to do a lot of shooting. And I was with my current group of shooters, Double Tap Dynamics. They're on Instagram, Dave and Taylor. So we got to make a little trip out of it. It was a great time.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
You said you shot 73%?
Mm-hmm.
God dang. That's good, man.
Yeah, so
the last time I shot, it was so bad.
Got a lot to live up to.
Yeah, it wasn't quite what I wanted to do there. My goal going into it was if I shot like 80% of Graffel, I'd be pretty happy with that. So I fell short there, but you know, it is what it is, right? We're all human beings. We make mistakes. We make preventable decisions. And I just didn't make the decisions that were required to score any better.
Yeah.
Hey,
You texted me a couple of weeks ago that you had a breakthrough. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah. So I have been plagued with missing steel. And it doesn't matter what the size of the steel is. It doesn't matter the distance. It doesn't matter the difficulty. If it is a steel target, I was plagued with missing it. And so this was about 8 months. It was like a random problem that suddenly appeared in my shooting. And it was super frustrating because my eyes were calling good shots and I was just not impacting. And so when you're shooting competitively, like going 1-for-1 on steel is huge. Like the time it takes to see that you took the makeup or that you took the miss and then like make it up, or to call the makeup and then shoot again, like that's a huge time penalty. And so missing steel is quite frankly unacceptable at a master level. And so I've been really trying to figure out why this is happening. And so on paper targets, I was able to call my shots pretty accurately. And then I was dry firing a couple of weeks ago now, and I finally caught myself tracking the front sight post high in the notch. So for those of you who have only shot dots ever in your entire life, right? So iron sights are what the old people use to aim guns. Okay? And at the front, there's this tiny little post, and at the back, there's this little notch thing. And you've got to like line those up in order to pull the shot. And what I noticed was that front sight post was riding really high when I was transitioning to what I would consider difficult targets. So steel plates or no shoots or things like that. And if your front sight is riding high in the notch and you think you're calling a good shot, you're going to miss high. And that's where I had been seeing most of my misses on steel. So it was the first time I was able to see myself do that, where my eyes were like picking up on like what my front sight post was doing. And so I was pretty happy with that because I wasn't able to do that previously and I didn't know why. So
it's good when you have an aha moment. You know what I mean?
So you've been able to hit steel since then now?
Yeah. At US Extreme, I was crushing steel. I had a few rough stages, but it was a lack of visual patience. It wasn't me calling good shots that weren't. Which if I can reflect on a shot and say like, yeah, I messed that up, that's a positive thing for me because I can fix that, right? If I'm like, yeah, I did not give that target the sight picture it deserved, then I know that that's me. If there's a shot that I'm missing that I called a good shot on, that's really frustrating for me because it's like I didn't see fast enough or I'm missing something about my shooting. And if I don't know what I'm doing wrong, it's very difficult to fix. So finding those problems is huge for me because then I can work on it.
Why do you think it was happening with the still but not the paper? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so I have a hypothesis, and a good buddy of mine was the one who brought this to me. And at the time he brought it to me, like, quite frankly, I rejected it. I was like, that's silly. I'm not doing that. And in hindsight, now that I've found the problem, figured out what's happening, and then fixed it, my eyes were looking for a lot of information to pull the trigger on what I would consider a tough shot, right? So mentally, I considered any steel, a tough shot because of my track record of missing it, right? And so when my eyes want more information, that green fiber becomes very, very attractive. And I want to see all of it all the time. And if it's low in the notch on a transition, that fiber becomes obscured by the rear sight on either the left or the right side. And so if I raise that fiber just a little bit, I give my eyes everything I want. I see the green dot. I see the front sight post. I track everything nice and evenly. And so I was giving my eyes what I wanted, and that resulted in that problem.
I got you. Giving them what they wanted instead of what they needed, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was really cool because it was entirely subconscious. It wasn't like something I was aware of, and it wasn't even something I could see. Like I wasn't seeing it in the moment for a really, really long time. And it was just through dry fire and like repetition. I was like, wait a minute. That ended up in a weird spot. Like, why did my gun end up there? And then just like continuously hammering transitions to smaller, tight targets. I was like, holy shit, that thing's just a little bit too high. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear on here, but like, I was like, that it's just a little bit too high. I mean, we're talking about very, very small measurements here, but measurements that make a substantial impact when you're shooting at small targets at 10 to 15 yards.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, did you have the confidence of Austin shooting at 20 yards? That's our question.
The confidence, absolutely. Yeah. So 20 yards, I can rail pretty aggressive on 20 yards. I'm still working on applying that to a match. I don't quite have that confidence in a match, but like in practice, oh yeah, I'll hammer at 20 yards.
Oh man.
Yeah, no one's as fast as me on the draw.
Shit, at least y'all was right. I was just
yeah, that was crazy. You were letting that 40 eat there.
Yeah. Giving her the beans. What's it say? All meat and potatoes.
Good time. I had a lot of fun. I appreciate you letting us come out there and do that, man.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate you guys. It was a good time. Hopefully it was educational and beneficial, but I had a great time. I love
it. Opened my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love teaching. I love helping people break through in those little things, and so it was really cool to go out there and shoot with you guys.
Well, just to get the movement, like the last time I went shooting, even though I shot like shit, thank God I wasn't moving. I couldn't draw from my holster. I had to place my gun on the deck and with the magazine over here because they don't even let you draw magazines out of holster. It's ridiculous. Well, anyway, just that, is just annoying. It's not very practical. You're never gonna actually train like that for a real life scenario. Like no one's gonna have a gun and a magazine next to it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I gotta shoot somebody.
It's like you wouldn't think moving your feet and shooting at the same time would be so difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's the goal, right, is to make it as subconscious as possible.
mhm,
Because if you can shoot subconsciously,
mhm,
or mostly subconsciously, and you can move subconsciously and you can reload subconsciously, like all of that stuff is huge, right?
mhm.
So if you can free up your conscious mind, and again, this is in competition, you want your conscious mind sort of in the back burner.
Yeah.
But like if you're in the fight for your life, right?
Mhm,
I don't want my conscious mind being occupied by my trigger pull and my sight alignment and all that kind of stuff. I want that to be something that I already ingrained. I want my conscious mind to be worried about who's
Stopping the fight.
behind them. Is this legal? Like,
Yeah.
um, like what are my other options? Do I have to do this? Right? Like,
Mm.
that's the idea behind the competition transfer to the defensive skill set.
Mhm,
Is you're really making the shooting part non-interactive, I guess is the best way to put it.
mhm.
Yeah, that legal part. One of
Yeah,
my
that's-
one of my coworkers, he's a Democrat, liberal dude, and one of the things he said, he brought up the situation. There was a person with a gun that was running around this neighborhood, and nobody stopped him. Right? Nobody stopped him. I forgot what state it was. It was a blue state somewhere. And they said that there was 15 neighbors that had firearms, and none of them did anything about it, right? And he said, "See, and that proves there's no such thing as a good guy with a gun." And I told him, I was like, they make it really hard on the good guy, because if we decide to use our firearm, we're obviously going to call the police. You know what I mean? So we're technically admitting guilt of, taking this person down. So we're automatically guilty. We have to prove ourselves innocent at that point. So it's very hard to make that decision. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
like I could just stay in my house, because like if you go outside with your firearms, especially in Maryland, you go outside with your firearm because someone's shooting down the street, you're gonna go to jail if you shoot them.
You're gonna go to jail.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Guilty
it's-
and proven innocent.
Duty to
and like
retreat.
those are the things I want to be thinking about, not do I have the ability to shoot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not want to be questioning my technical ability when there are more important things to worry about.
Mhm.
And I want that to be in a place where I know I have it, and that's just the way that it is,
Mhm.
right? Like I don't need to think about getting, I'll throw a number out there, a sub 2 second draw, right? I don't need to think about that because it's already ingrained. I know how to do it. I've dry fired it. I've live fired it. Like
Mhm.
I've live fired it without thinking about it. Like it doesn't require additional thought to hurry up or rush or things like that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to be thinking about, is it the right time or not?
Yeah. And is this legal? Is my fiance behind them? Right. Is there a school bus filled with children in between us? Like these are the things that are going to be impactful in the aftermath that we don't really have time to think about. And one of the big things that sort of pushed me towards practical shooting was like John Correa's analysis on active self-protection of some of those gunfights, where like the person is legally right. Like they are 100% in the right. They are the victim here. They are being assaulted, and they cook off like 12 rounds, and like 3 of them are accounted for. It's like, okay, cool. Like that's fine. And fortunately, nobody gets hit, right? You're like, yeah, 9 unaccounted for rounds. Nothing bad happens. The story ends positively, but that's not to say it's going to be the same situation for you or for me or for anybody else. So we're not cops. We don't have that protection.
Yeah.
You're responsible for every round.
Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Like during this conversation, I just thought about like I was like thinking of tactical things from my house. Basically the hallway that leads out of all the bedrooms. That if anybody was breaking in, the front door or back door, they'd be coming down that hallway to me. To me, my wife, and my two boys. My neighbor is literally like straight across.
Mhm.
Like straight across. So if it
Yeah.
goes through that window, it's gonna
Yeah.
keep going. It's gonna go into
Yeah.
their house. I just thought about that.
It's nothing for a bullet to zip through a house, man, and then go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Exactly.
gotta be smart about that.
Yeah.
But have you guys shot any matches? I know there was some talk previously of some match attendance that might be happening.
I
I'm good.
haven't.
I have not had a chance to yet.
Oh,
I've
what's
been
stopping
working,
us? What's stopping us from going out there, guys?
being responsible and working.
Yeah, honestly, it's just the working part, I picking up extra hours at work and haven't had a chance.
Hey,
I want to
that
go in
ammo.
March.
No.
Yeah, I
Which match
want
are
to
you
go.
shooting in March?
I gotta look one up, but that's what my goal is. I want to do one per quarter this year. I'm gonna suck, but I'm gonna bring my G17. I shoot a lot better with that than that freaking 43.
That thing sucks, man.
It's
My
so bad. I hate
My
it.
G20. I told you my G. Well, you shot it. The G27
Yeah,
got less recoil than that.
yeah. So the last time I shot it was 124 grain, right? It was some Israeli defense ammo that I bought like 2 years ago that I found on the back of my safe, and it felt like that had more recoil than the plus P's that you gave me, Rob.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and it was just all over the place. I hate that
I
thing.
don't know, but if it's like the military ammo, that's loaded hot anyway. So I don't know if they,
I mean, it was going off. I'll tell you that much. I felt it, you know. And my wrist was actually like hurting, which has never happened before. Like even when I shot even when we shot the freaking the Magnum,
hmm
the 357
357.
Magnum,
I love
right?
that round.
And then at H's when we shot that Smith and Wesson 500, right? Is that what
Yeah.
that's called?
Hmm.
Yeah. Even then, my wrist wasn't hurting. With the freaking G43, my wrist was hurting.
Maybe you trying to squeeze it, and from it, because that thing when you shoot it, it's
Yeah.
fucking like that. Trying to stabilize it more. I don't know.
Hmm. I fucking hate that thing.
That's why I'm not a big fan of compacts.
It was the worst purchase ever. Because I can't even give it to my wife. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I can't shoot this thing.
What
Here,
you mean?
you
You
do
have a
that.
compact, Austin?
I have a subcompact.
Oh,
G19's a subcompact, not a compact.
No, G19
no,
is
it's a
compact.
compact. The G26s and 27s is a subcompact.
I could have sworn G19's a subcompact.
Nah,
Subcompact is smaller than the compact.
yeah.
Or that's what I mean. Yeah, okay, that's what I meant. I had it backwards. My bad. It's been a long day for me. I'm quitting nicotine, so
Mm.
Good for
That
you.
sucks.
yeah.
I spent most of my Florida trip trying to bully one of the shooters that went with me out of smoking.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
man.
I gave up carbs. I gave up everything except for meat and eggs and a little bit of cheese. I gave up screen time and I gave up nicotine all in the same week.
Sounds like you
So
got plenty of time to go shoot then.
Right?
yeah,
Plenty of
all
money.
all that's ammo.
Hmm.
Yep, all that nicotine is ammo.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what, with the way she was buying cigarettes, I was like, you could be a lot better with the amount of money you could be putting into this.
Yeah, they're
All
like,
right.
what, $12 a pack now? Well,
Yeah,
here,
something
right?
like that. It was more than I'd be willing to spend on something that wasn't going to make me a better shooter.
Right?
So,
It's crazy what we do to kill ourselves. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
yeah,
Like nicotine's my only crutch. That's all I have left. I've
that
quit
was
everything else. That's my only crutch, and I think I'm healthy enough that I can, do some nicotine. 24 hours a day.
That sounds like addiction.
It is. It's right here. And they keep making them higher. These are 9 milligrams.
Holy
So now,
shit.
so now when I put the freaking 8 milligrams in, I'm like, there's something missing here.
Yeah.
You gotta put 2 of them in there. Before you know it, you'll have them up here and down here.
I
Nicotine was
when I
my
got
only
the hiccup.
crutch too. Yeah, and I tell you what, it was just a decision I made. I had some dip left in my can,
Mm-hmm.
and I just saw my gums and like how they're starting to like recede a little bit because I've been doing this since I was like 15. Like I've been dipping since I was like 15 years old. You know, I'm almost 30.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while, and I saw my gums starting to recede. So I threw whatever was left in the can away, and I said, "Screw it!" And I haven't picked up a dip since, which was I want to say Monday. I think it was Monday or Tuesday, and which normally I'd have gone through like 2 more cans by then. And I'm just not getting any.
Delicious.
Good for
And
you,
all I-
man.
Yeah,
All I
the
want
over,
right
man.
now is a cigarette. I don't even want a dip.
Why
I just want a
though?
cigarette.
Why a cigarette though?
I don't know. Just I'm craving a cigarette. I haven't craved a dip. All I've craved was just like a cigarette the whole time, and that's it.
Have you smoked any cigarettes?
Yes, I have. I smoked one someone gave me, and but it was kind of just like, you know, really fiending like crackhead style, you know, like. And so it was like, "Hey man, what's wrong?" I was like, "Oh, I'm giving up nicotine." He was like, "Here you go. Here's a cigarette." I was like,
Yeah, sounds like
"You're a
What an
really
asshole.
terrible person. You're a really terrible person." But thank you. Oh
The-
shit!
bring you
The
back
last
to my
time,
hell. Here you go.
I'm giving up meth too. You got any of that?
That's
Now
not
you
going to
know
make
that's
you a better
a lot
shooter.
what meth won't?
No, that's definitely not going to make you a better shooter.
I feel like I'll argue that
But-
you on that one because I
Yeah,
feel like meth
Make
would.
them focus.
Yeah, if you're on Adderall, it's the same damn thing.
Fuck it,
Yeah,
let's change
clear.
this to debate. Let's change the title to debate. We're gonna get into does meth
Yeah.
make you a better shooter?
Will stimulants make you a better shooter?
You bring your facts, I bring mine. Mine's gonna be I give a meth head a gun and see what happens.
Oh my gosh. The ATF has entered the chat.
Right.
Hopefully not for long.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, there is a limit, right? Like I'm sure Adderall would help
meth?
to a point.
That's a limit.
There is a point where you're just too hyped up that you can't like see what you need to see.
Austin said he hasn't hit that yet.
No, when I was studying for my journeyman's and I was on Adderall, dude, I have never studied that hard in my freaking life. I was actually like sitting down and for like hours just paying attention to one thing, which never happens. I was like, man, if I was on this stuff since I was like in, you know, not elementary, but like middle school, I'd be a millionaire right now if I could do this all the time. Except I wasn't eating. I had to like force feed myself. And then I lost like 5 pounds in like 3 days. Yeah.
The meth diet.
Yeah, the meth
Don't do
diet.
drugs,
It
kids.
works.
Yeah, don't do drugs. Yeah.
Oh shoot.
But boy, you could study on that shit. I'll tell you that much.
Imagine how the Nazis were, man, on
Oh,
Pervitin.
right? Yeah, I'm perfect. Did you guys see Bryce Mitchell and what he said? I don't know if you guys follow MMA at all. Anybody? No?
Not too much anymore.
Yeah, so Bryce Mitchell, I think he's a featherweight, so a $145er, right? He's pretty good. He's like a country bumpkin dude, blah blah blah. He got knocked the fuck out in his last fight, twitching on the ground and everything. So
Damn.
I don't know if his screws got a little loose after that knockout. And he was talking about how Hitler wasn't. He would go fishing with Hitler. Before the meth though. After the meth, he wouldn't. You know what I mean? That's where he drew the line. Not the fact that it was Hitler, it was just the meth Hitler. You know, that's when he got mean apparently.
After he got made fun of for his art.
I wish I could show you guys that knockout, but we'd get a copyright strike.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he got caught. He was coming in, and then the dude that he was fighting, what the heck was his, like Emmett something? He's like a freaking tank. Like I don't know how that dude weighs 145 pounds.
Emmett
Probably
Till?
for like, no, not Emmett Till.
Damn, Josh still there?
Yeah, he's still there. He just turned off his camera. No, but he was coming in and he threw a hook and he
On
just
his
fell
mouth?
down. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like he just fell down and all of a sudden he just like
That fucked up his brain, man. You got
Yeah.
brain damage when that happens, man.
Yeah.
That does not
no.
make you a better shooter.
Right? I was about to say, damn it! I was about to say that. Fuck you. I was literally just about to say that. You ruined it, man.
So no meth or getting knocked out.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a pretty strict formula for being a good shooter.
Mhm.
All right. And it's like dry fire, practice, learn,
No brain
don't do
damage.
meth, don't get hit in the head. If you can follow those 5 steps, you're on your way.
Mhm.
Oh shit.
Take
So-
meth out of the equation.
Okay, but you didn't
No
mention
meth.
Percocets.
All right. So let's remove the meth and we'll put in any drug.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
There's actually a big push right now in USPSA. There's some controversy because there's no anti-doping policy.
Mhm.
And like IPSC, the international organization, follows like the Olympic anti-doping agencies
Mhm.
and their policies. But the American organization does not. And there's some rumors of some top competitors who are on some stuff that wouldn't be kosher in IPSC, and that's why they've like rejected World Shoot slots and things like that because they wouldn't be eligible competitors. So, funny enough, our meth conversation is leading to an actual USPSA topic right now.
So what would they be doing to get an edge at shooting? Like it can't be steroids.
I was just saying, what doping? What doping does?
Yes. So I'm not 100% sure what the rumors that they were on. I know there was some talk of people doing like some hormone therapies. There was some talk of like there were people smoking weed in a match, which is not a performance enhancer in this environment.
Wow.
But it would still disqualify them from like international competition.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. Adderall would make them illegal in international competition. So
What if
there any-
prescribed?
no, it doesn't matter. The international organization doesn't care. It's just straight up do your 30 or 60 days or whatever it is without it before you go to World Shoot.
Okay.
But the US doesn't have any restrictions on that in practical shooting right now.
Dude, that would be crazy if the shooters are out there doing trend.
Right?
I mean, they for sure are. Like I know of a couple of competitors, who,
Mhm.
not at the top of the game, but who are for sure
Trend.
taking
Swole
anabolics
as
and stuff like that.
Kind of like the
Extreme
John
hard.
Jones of shooting.
Yeah.
Nah, that was just a picogram, Rob.
No,
Yeah.
what was the name of that one that Anderson Silva kicked in his mouth? I can never remember his name.
Vito Belfort.
Yeah, Vitro Belfort.
Yeah. He was juiced up to the gills, man.
Right. Coming at rip,
So-
man.
So he when they tested him, he had 10 times more testosterone. Don't quote me on that, all right? Don't quote me on that. I read it on the internet, but that's what they said. 10 times more testosterone than the average 18 to 25-year-old.
He was a new man.
And then when they asked him, he was like, "Well, I wasn't. I couldn't. I think he was fighting in Brazil, so he couldn't bring his testosterone with him. So he shot up extra so it can, you know what I mean, last until he got back.
What?
That's funny how that works,
Is
isn't it?
I was gonna say, is that how it works?
I mean, it can work that way.
That does
It just
make you a better shooter.
Well, I don't know about that because all those top guys are still passing the world shoot slots. They're still passing their tests. So I got to imagine there's somewhere in there where injecting yourself with stuff will eventually degrade your ability to perform. Because like a lot of shooting is emotional control. Like if you let a stage get to you, or you let another competitor get to you, or like a situation or something like that, and you can't rein in your own thoughts and feelings, like that's going to hurt you. And I know like a couple of shooters that I compete with who are definitely juicing. Like those guys do not have the ability to come back from a negative stage or a negative interaction. Like they just can't do it. And I don't know if that's just them as people or if that's the steroids, but it certainly can't be helping.
Yeah, like what if somebody roid raging on the range and shit? You know what I mean?
Well, if they're on trend, they definitely got roid rage, and they think their girlfriend's cheating on them. That's 100%. Those two things.
Both
I don't know
can
why.
be true at the same time.
I don't know why, but so I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he had more plates, more dates. The dude Derek, and he's like a wizard for like hormone and doping and all that stuff, right? And he said on there, he was like, yeah, and then for some reason with trend, like it's notorious for guys just start thinking that their girlfriends are cheating on them for no reason. Like she's not acting like she's cheating, you know what I mean? They just start thinking that, you know, she's cheating on me, and then they beat the shit out of her or something.
Yeah. That sounds like paranoia, man.
Yeah, I don't know if any of that's a positive. Like, I don't know if that's worth it. Like,
right? Get a domestic and shit,
right?
Yeah,
you can't see all the benefits to it. Damn.
What, beating your wife?
Yeah.
benefits to beating your wife.
You can't see all the benefits to that.
In this country, there is no benefits to that.
That makes you like,
no,
mania.
things, right? Like, if someone cuts in front of you on the walkthrough, right, like you could perceive them to be an asshole, and if you can't emotionally control that, like that's going to be a problem. And if you get like 10-6 DQ'd for unsportsmanlike conduct, like that's not going to go great, right? And like this match we shot this past weekend, it was an international match, so there was like, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 countries represented there. And the RO crews were all international. And so what I wasn't anticipating until I showed up, because this is my first match in the international format, was how different the shooting cultures are in other areas of the world. So like Americans have a very professional range officer group. And so the expectations of American competitors of range officers is professional. If we ask for an overlay, we're not questioning their authority. We just are asking for a double check on a scoring call. Or if we disagree with a call and we call the range master, like that's not a personal slight against the RO. If I do that, I'm not saying like you're a bad official. But like there was a Jamaican RO crew that just denied overlays. They're like, no, I can see it. It's fine. We're not doing this. Get the next shooter going. And like the American shooters were like, what the hell is this? Like, this is not how you officiate a match. That's not correct. And per the rules, it's not. But in their culture and their shooting environment, they don't care. They're not going to stop the match or call the range master because you disagree with their decision. There was one Jamaican RO. He was sitting on the back. He was like lifting up his glasses, scoring targets from like 10 or 15 yards downrange. He's like, yeah, that looks like 2 alpha to me. And like American ROs would almost never do that. I mean, that would be so taboo. It would be crazy. Or to deny a shooter an overlay if they were requested, you'd never see that in the States. And even like amongst the shooters, there was very different cultures. So like my squad had a contingent of Indonesian shooters for, like, they're the team that's going to go to the Indonesian or to the World Shoot representing Indonesia. And they have a very different culture of shooting there. And we really didn't understand it. Like, we ended the first day and the Americans on our squad were like, those guys are assholes. We do not like them. And what we quickly learned was, like, they're not assholes. They're not being intentional. They're not being malicious with this. But if you're not going to jump in front of them in line in a walkthrough, they're going to jump in front of you because it's a time limited event. So if you're not actively moving to go, they'll get in front of you. If you're not actively pushing your way to the front of the squad to see an activator because you're the first shooter, they're going to be up there at the front of the squad checking out that activator. And so for Americans, that's really rude. Like, if you're in an American squad and the first shooter is coming up and there's an activated target, so like a swinger or a dropout target or a bobber or something like that, the first shooter should be the one in the most clear position to see that target from wherever they're activating it. And if you're not the first shooter, you step out of the way to let the first shooter up there. And these guys were like, nope, if you're not going to get up here, I'm going to do it. And day one, assholes. Day two, day three, very nice. And I've got a ton of respect for those guys as competitors, but it was just a different culture. And so that was really cool to see. Everywhere across the world has a different and unique perspective on things.
Yeah. When I work with the Dominicans, one of them kept saying, hey, and I turned around, I was like, my name's Dimitri, and he just looked at me like, what? Like, I was butthurt, you know. I'm like, stop calling me A. I have a name. Like, the whole day he's just calling me A. Then I asked one of the younger guys, I'm like, hey, do you guys say, like, A, like, in your culture, like, it's not a big deal? And he's like, yeah, we say that all the time. I was like, oh, okay, I gotta go apologize to this motherfucker now. Like, hey, man, sorry. But he did tell me to learn Spanish, and that pissed me off.
Well, if you ever go work in the Dominican Republic, then you should probably learn Spanish. But until then,
Right.
Yeah, you need to learn English. That's I already learned the second language, all right?
Yeah,
You should
English
try
was
it.
your second one, right?
Yeah. He said he spoke English, but it was like 15 words.
yeah, all the ROs did speak English, though. The IPSC
Oh.
requires range commands to be given in English, so the Americans have an edge there. We're doing good.
So
But the
what?
Australians were very professional. They had a very professional RO crew there. The Canadians were very professional. Pretty much everywhere else was hit or miss, but the Australian ROs really impressed me. Canadians and the American ROs. But, like, talking to some of them afterwards, I don't blame them entirely. Like, those Jamaican ROs might shoot 1 or 2 matches a year, like, where they're actually officiating a major match. American ROs, like the ones who do the officiating as their primary thing, like their competitors second, but they're primarily officials. I mean, those guys will RO 1 or 2 matches a month. Like, you just can't compare those two skill sets in terms of professionalism. And then I also have to remember that, like, as a competitor, I probably have a better understanding of the rules than, like, some ROs in some areas of the world, because I have a vested interest. I'm putting a lot of money into this. It's something that, like, I'm traveling to compete, and they are not. Like, they're getting paid to do this, so they're not going to be super invested in knowing the nuance where I am. But it was a crazy match. Like, the equipment check was wild to us, because in USPSA, like, you can only handle your gun at a safe table. And if you pull out your gun at a place that is not a safe table or under the direct supervision of a range officer, it's an immediate disqualification. Like, your match is over. And so we were looking for a safe table and we couldn't find one. And so we went to the match administration area, and in IPSC, you have to fill out information. So your name, your power factor, your division, your gun's make, model, and serial number, because they check that to make sure you're not swapping guns or doing anything illegal. And then every stage you go to, they mark off an initial that your gear hasn't changed, you haven't switched equipment without permission, things like that. So anyway, we get up there, we get our sheet, and we get to this picnic table of 2 dudes, and he's like, well, what's your gun's serial number? I was like, I don't know. I was looking for a safe table. It's in my box. I have it with me, but I don't know where a safe table is. He's like, well, just pull it out. Right here? Okay. So pull it out. I get the serial number on it. No big deal there. And then in IPSC, there's a trigger pull requirement. So for striker fire guns, every trigger pull has to be at least 3 pounds. For double and single action guns, the first trigger pull has to be at least 5. So I'm expecting a scale. I'm expecting some degree of measurement here. And this dude pulls my gun out of the case and just starts railing on the trigger. And he's like, yeah, we're good. Didn't clear it, nothing. Just took it straight out of the case, just starts yanking on it. And so I'm like, maybe it was just me, right? So I'm getting my stuff all put together, and my buddies are behind me, and they come through. Same situation. You don't have your serial number? Why don't you have your serial number? Gets it out, writes it down. Well, official gets handed the gun, just starts cranking on the trigger. And so the whole rest of the day, I'm just waiting. I'm like, I'm going to hear a bang come from that admin area eventually.
Oh, my God.
But it never happened. Everybody showed up with their guns unloaded, so that was cool. But it was very different than what I was expecting from like the match administration perspective. And then also like the way the stages were set up was also different. So they published a match book and then threw it away. Like they had the stage diagrams, they had the round counts, they had the points all laid out in this match book. And we showed up, it was completely different. I mean, there was not a single stage from the match book that was actually on the ground. And it's not uncommon to see tweaks, right? Like a stage in the diagram might have targets at specific angles that in real life would be unsafe or unreasonable. So like stages get changed pretty common. That's not what we're looking for as competitors when we go through the match book. But typically round count is important and point total is important. So the way USPSA is and IPSC is scored, your stages have point values. And so and not every stage is created equal. So if there's a 60-point stage, there's 60 points up for grabs in that stage versus a 140-point stage. That 140-point stage, your performance there will mean more. Now, that doesn't mean you can discount the 60-point stages because you shoot 2, 3, 4 60-point stages. All of a sudden, those numbers become significant. But they're not equal. And so the end of day one, we looked at the scores and we looked at where we were standing, and we realized that we had shot almost 60% of the match points in one day. Like the whole rest of the 2 days, we didn't have any opportunity to make up any lost ground because it was all stacked into one day, which wasn't a great match design. The answer for us as shooters is like, don't give up points, like shoot better. But typically you want to see stuff spread out a little bit more so that competitors shooting on different schedules have the ability to be strategic about their performance if that's something that they want to do. And they don't feel like their performance doesn't matter. Like going into day 2 and day 3, me and the other competitor I was with that were really looking to contest our divisions, we both knew like this match was over for us. After one day, we weren't winning. And we both accepted that, and we both had a great time anyway. But it was a sucky feeling to know that your stage performance wasn't going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just because of the first day you're saying?
Yeah, so the first day was 10 stages. And out of those 10 stages, 8 of them were 100-plus point courses. The next 2 days combined, we saw 300-plus point courses.
Okay.
So lots of little stuff, but not a lot of room to gain ground because separation in the hit factors comes from technical challenges and the ability to like take targets on the move or blend positions. That's where you have the ability to distinguish yourself as a competitor. And on really short courses, you don't have that opportunity. So if it's a 12-round stage, there's only so many places you can find time in a 12-round stage, especially with the way these were set up. There was one stage, it was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 4, it was 12 rounds. And in that 12-round stage, the time difference between first and like 80th was like 0.3 of a second. Like you can't stack, you can't get points in a meaningful amount of, like in a meaningful number with a time that's compressed. If first and 80th has a 0.3 second spread, you just got to survive. You just got to earn as many points as you can within that spread versus like 120 point field course where there's a lot of room to move. There's a lot of opportunities to blend positions. If you go 1-for-1 on steel, it can really save you a lot of time, where the difference in time between first and 80th might be 10 seconds. It might be 7, 8 seconds, right? So you have a lot of room there to sort of separate yourself from the pack.
Gotcha.
And there's a lot of things that go into it with score compression and things like that too. So without getting super nerdy, essentially, like as stage wins change hands, like your points will fluctuate. So like on day 1, I had 2 stage wins. So I was leading production division on that stage or on those 2 stages. But like as day 2 and day 3 rolled around, there were shooters who were beating me on that stage. And so I was losing points while I was also trying to accumulate points in like zone 2 and zone 3. So there was a lot of like hit factor math that goes into it, but essentially you want to win stages. If you can win stages, that's pretty big because not only are you earning yourself points, you're also taking points away from your competition.
So how were you losing? How were you losing points while you were still shooting?
To make the math easy, let's say it's a 100-point stage, right? So I shoot 100% on day 1. I have all 100 of those match points in my little pile, right? And let's say, Dimitri, you come in or Austin comes in and he's shooting with 20-yard confidence. He's ripping, right? And let's say Austin beats me by 10%. So now he gets all 100 of those match points and I only get 90 of them. So I've lost 10 points without doing anything differently. Austin just beat me and he compressed that score by 10.
And would that be with the amount of time he shot it in? Because if you got all 100 and he gets all 100, it would just be the time difference, right?
So, yeah. So let me backtrack a little bit because this is an important distinction and one that's not uncommon. So there's 2 types of points in USPSA. So there are target points, which are the actual scoring zones on the target that you guys are familiar with from your time on the range with me, Alpha, Charlie, Deltas. And then there are stage points, which equate to match points. So target points are used to calculate your hit factor. So if it's a 100-point stage, nobody needs to shoot all 100 points to win that stage. They just need to have the highest hit factor. So if I shoot 80 points in 10 seconds, I have an 8 hit factor. It doesn't matter that I didn't earn all 100 available points. If I win the stage with that 8 hit factor, I get all 100 stage points and match points.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because it's a confusing system.
Like yes and no.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So target points are earned by the shooter in the run.
All right.
Match points and the stage points are earned after the run is over, and we compare your hit factor compared to everybody else's.
Oh, okay, got you.
So target points, once they're used to calculate your hit factor, are irrelevant. We don't look at those after your hit factor is calculated. And hit factor is points divided by time.
Okay.
So 80 points, 8 seconds or 10 seconds would give you an 8 hit factor. And so if someone beats your hit factor by a percentage, and you currently had the stage win, then you lose that amount of points from your match point pile.
So like 1% is 1 point, 10% is 10 points.
It would be whatever. It would be dependent on the stage.
Okay.
So if it's a 100-point stage and you lose by 10%, you would lose 10 points.
Okay.
If it's a 200-point stage and you lose by 10%, you'd lose 20 points.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Or am I
Yeah,
still?
yeah.
Are we still?
It's
okay.
It's starting. It makes a lot more sense now than when we were at the range. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing about hit factor is it provides a balance, right? And the balance is skewed towards speed if we really get into the math. But it provides a scoring and time calculation. So there is no amount of time that will make up for bad hits, and there are no amount of hits that will make up for a bad time. So if you shoot really, really fast, but you get mediocre points, that's going to benefit you more than shooting really, really slow and getting all of your target points. Because it's all divided, and it's a whole mathematical calculation. Essentially, you just need to be fast and accurate. And there are people who are really good at this sport who have no idea how hit factor is calculated. They're like, just tell me to shoot fast. I can do that. I shoot alphas really quick, and they have no idea what the math behind it means, and they just perform well because they shoot their points quickly. I prefer the math because I want to know why I'm doing well or why I'm doing poorly.
I got you.
And the way it works out is pretty interesting. Like one of my best performing stages, I had 80% on it, was a stage where I took a miss, which doesn't make any sense. Like why did that happen? And it's because I was on pace with the time. So a miss is a 10-point penalty, but if I had taken longer to run that course, it would have hurt me more than that miss. If I had not missed, then it would have been a much higher than an 80% finish. But the time was there. There was just a round that wasn't.
Was it on a steel or was it just a regular paper target?
No, so it was a swinger. So yeah. So almost every single stage we shot had some sort of moving or activated target on it. And so day 2, we ended, and me and my buddy Dave, who's a Carry Optics Grandmaster, we were looking at scores and we were watching other shooters shoot the stages that we were about to. And we realized that like we were wildly off on our stage plans. These people were hammering 2 rounds on the first presentation of the swinger. And up to that point, Dave and I really had not been trying to squeeze the second round in there. And so we took it on 2 separate passes, right? So 1 round as the swinger reappears, 1 round, and then you're done. What we saw a lot of good shooters doing was as soon as that round, the target presents, it was round, gone. So that's a second, easily, second and a half, probably, of time that's just dead. And if you're a second and a half off pace, your hits don't matter. Like a second and a half is just, that's huge. So anyway, going into day 3, I was like, you know what? My match points are gone, right? Like my match points are devastated. So I need to shoot the time, and I just need to be as visually focused and as visually aggressive as I can be. And that swinger came up, and I hammered 2 on it, and I was gone. So the first one connected. That was an alpha. The second one,
nothing. It went somewhere, huh?
Yeah. Most likely the dirt directly underneath the swinger.
On TikTok, I saw. I meant to send this to Eric and you and Blake and everybody, just if you guys would agree that it was a good like training scenario. They basically had like 2 paper targets, and they had these really long like claw arms that they were on, and there was a good guy and then a bad guy, right? And they were like making it kind of like a scenario that the bad guy has a gun to the good guy's head and is like moving around, and the shooter had to, not shoot the good guy basically. I mean, they were moving these things like pretty aggressively, I guess, like in a hostage situation.
Yeah, I think I saw, like, someone sent that video to me and was just like, "Hey, look at this guy."
Yeah.
So I guess my first question, if someone proposed that to me on the range, is like, what are we working on?
Mm.
Like, is the goal to just not shoot the bad guy? And if the answer is to not shoot the bad guy, then this becomes, or not shoot the good guy, then this becomes like very easy,
Mm.
right? It's very easy to shoot super, super slowly and be accountable for your hits. There's no time pressure. I didn't hear a buzzer go off anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There was no time requirement. It was just shooting at whatever pace you were comfortable with. So might it have training value to some people in that particular context? Maybe. I don't know. I don't train that way. The way I figure it, if I can be accountable for sight pictures at a high rate of speed, it really doesn't matter what context we're applying that to. If I'm comfortable shooting at moving targets, it really doesn't matter what context we're applying that to. So I personally wouldn't apply it to my training, but if there was someone out there with a deeper breadth of knowledge that was supporting that, I wouldn't argue with it. But I also know the guy that posted that, Instructor Zero, has some pretty cockamamie ideas of shooting in general.
Yeah, I think that was his name.
Yeah,
Instructor Zero or something like that.
Him and Ben Stager went at it a while ago, probably over 2 years ago now. So they've got some pretty interesting podcast material out there where they debate some fundamentals of shooting and some concepts of why they apply certain things in certain areas. And it was not a pleasant experience for Instructor Zero by any stretch of the imagination.
So, like, what we hear a lot about the fundamentals, right? Can you go over the fundamentals for people that are going to listen to this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the fundamentals when you're first learning to shoot a handgun is going to be your grip, sights, and trigger. If you can grip the gun consistently in a way that the gun does not move under recoil, that is going to be huge. And when I say doesn't move, I don't mean like the gun doesn't like tip up and down. I mean like wherever the gun starts is where the gun ends after the recoil cycle is completed. So that's step one. The second is going to be your sights, understanding what a sight picture is for your particular firearm and what's acceptable for your firearm. The sight picture needed to shoot a 3-inch gun with iron sights is very different than the sight picture needed to shoot a 5-inch gun with iron sights, which is wildly different than a dot gun. So understanding what those sights do, what they mean, and what their impact is on the target. And then also learning how to press the trigger without disturbing the sights. There's a lot of times that people get caught up with like what part of your finger contacts the trigger, and is it the knuckle, is it the pad, does it matter? And it really doesn't, as long as you don't disturb the sight picture. As long as you can do it consistently without moving the sights, it's functionally irrelevant. So those are the big three: grip, sights, trigger. If you can do those three, you're in a good spot. And then as you begin to learn shooting, and once you start transitioning from, oh my God, how do I control this explosion in my hand, to how do I do it quickly, vision becomes a fundamental. Learning how to pick a small spot and then drive your gun to that spot consistently becomes something that is almost impossible to shoot at a high rate of speed without doing. Does that thoroughly answer your question on what fundamental?
Yeah. No, yeah, it does. Yeah, my fundamentals were off. I was shooting left down like crazy.
So knowing what we know, right? What caused that?
I don't know. 'Cause
Okay.
I was crushing with my left, and I had this hand nice and wiggly, like everyone has been saying. I think it's. I just don't feel comfortable with that 43 because when I was shooting the 17 when we were training with you, it stopped happening by the end of the day. With this thing, I shot 200 something rounds, and I don't know. Maybe I was trying to like compensate for the recoil. I'm not sure.
Well, just based on what we've talked about so far today, it sounds like you were shooting a gun that you didn't enjoy shooting,
Mm.
and it sounds like it was hurting you with your
Yeah.
wrist,
Yeah.
right? So if you're thinking about, oh my God, I hate doing this. This hurts. This is not fun. I am not having fun right now.
Yeah.
Then you are probably not thinking about, are my sights aligned and is my trigger being pressed without disturbing the sights? And so I would guess it's a mental problem, probably not a mechanical problem for that instance.
Mm.
I don't know. I didn't see it happen, so I can't diagnose it. But
Yeah.
just hearing you talk about that shooting experience, that would be my guess.
Yeah. I need to get a new concealed carry. Because that's why I was shooting it, because I wanted to get more reps behind it.
So
I don't fucking like that thing.
So this is sort of the production. What's the right word? This is the production sadist in me, right? Where like I shoot the world's most unfun division with the world's most unfun sighting system.
Mm.
If you hate doing it, you probably have a lot to learn by doing it.
Mm.
Like whatever is causing that mental block, obviously I can't speak to the wrist necessarily, but
Mm.
whatever is making you not want to shoot that gun is probably something that if you learned how to shoot that gun would be wildly beneficial to you.
Okay.
And again, like if you don't want the gun, if you're not going to train with a gun, sell the gun. You don't have to listen to me. I'm just a guy, and I'm a guy who is unique in this aspect, right? But like the reason that I'm still shooting production after all these years is because like it is unfun. It is not the most enjoyable experience someone can have on the range, but there's so much to learn there. By doing something that I don't want to do, not necessarily don't want to do. I love shooting. I love shooting production. I'm having a good time doing this, but I'm not doing it for the fun of it.
Mm.
And there are times where it's challenging, and there are times where I'm like, I'm selling this gun and buying a dot. Those are the times where I know like I'm going to learn more. I'm going to be a better shooter if I figure this out. The missing on steel could have been solved with a dot.
Mm.
Like instantly done.
Mhm.
Done. But I'm not going to learn how to see that fast if I don't work through that problem.
See what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last week when you were in the chat when we had Jamie on here and we told him that you were a irons master, he was like, kudos to him. Like
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that.
yeah, it's not fun, right? Because like if you have a dot, there is one firing solution, right? There, if you put the dot in the A zone and you pull the trigger without moving it, you will score an alpha every single time. Like there is no question about it. That's just how it is, right? An iron sighted shooter, I couldn't even begin to do the math on how many different sight pictures I could have at a given distance to shoot an alpha. It's got to be in the thousands. And so if you're not aware of that, you're going to be too slow. And JJ Ricasa has an interesting video on it where he's like, does this look like a good sight picture? And the front sight's like way up into oblivion, right? And he pulls the trigger and it's an alpha. And he's like, it's an alpha because at that distance, the height of the front sight is not enough to move the impact up. So, yeah, it's just that kind of stuff. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy learning how fast can I see things, how fast can I call a good shot on irons, how much can I process. All of that stuff is super, super fun for me.
Yeah, I love shooting.
I want to take this moment to quickly give a brief shout out to our sponsors. If you guys don't know, we're sponsored by Goliath Defense and Cocked Firearms. You can go to GoliathDefense.com or CockedFirearms.com and use promo code 2AB to get 10% off site wide. So every single thing they got on there, up to and including a Barrett 50 cal, if you so choose to spend 15 grand. So
We'll save you 10%.
Goliath
10% off 15 grand is not small money.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. So Goliath Defense and GoliathDefense.com and CockedFirearms.com, which I'll post in the chat.
An American asshole.
Do we have a social media?
But American asshole? It's
Yeah.
American asshole.
Mhm.
There you go, Goliath Defense. Yeah, his stuff is pretty cool too. He's got a his is like a seal. It's like one of those here we go. Let me share the screen for you guys so you can see it. Are you familiar with him, Josh?
American Asshole? No, only through your guys' episode with him.
Mhm.
So here's it. This is kind of like his main logo right here.
Mm.
American. Yeah, there we go. And then he's like partnered with a handful of people that like were in these prestigious airborne units. Just like stuff like units that aren't really well known. But yeah, he's got a ton of different stuff on his website. Shirts, stickers. Yeah, give him a shout out. He's got an interesting story.
Mhm.
Perseverance and had to face a lot of struggles, but he's getting it, man. So
He's a cool dude, like everyone we have on here.
yeah,
Right?
Good people.
exactly. And here's I'm sure you guys know. Here's Cocked Firearms website. It's a cock, rooster, and a crosshair.
Mhm.
But look here.
If he doesn't have what you want, he can get his hands on it.
I don't know if I want my cock and a crosshair on.
Here we
What
go.
don't kill you makes you stronger.
I don't know about that. You saw the dude from Dead Presidents. He's like, you can't let me go home like this.
You
That's it.
gotta
Look, it says
adapt and overcome.
selling fast. Over 12 people have this in their cards. Yeah. Okay.
There's 12 dudes out there trying to convince their wives
Yeah.
that they should be able to buy this sniper rifle.
Like, hey, come over. Let me show you something. Look, it's a bear sitting in my shopping cart.
So apparently, this sniper rifle, the 50 cal sniper rifle, is causing CTE in shooters
I wonder why.
because they're getting concussed from shooting this damn thing. I still want to shoot it.
Probably like getting hit in the back of the head with a bat.
I'd shoot it. I don't know if I'd ever own one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a lot of ammo.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
is.
there's Goliath Defense. So
For
there
the
you guys-
price of probably what 50 of them, you can get 1,000, probably 9.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's the amount of people I run into who are like, how do I become a better shooter? And the answer is like, sell half of your guns, buy ammo, and go train. Like,
I thought you was going to say get a 50 cal.
yeah, no, that is not the answer to being a better shooter, believe it or not. Could have fooled me. I was down for it, but the amount of people who come to me and they're like, I bought the Staccato XC and I still can't shoot a sub 2 bill drill. It's like, well, it ain't the gun.
well,
But what if it was?
They need to do some soul searching, right?
I mean, there is a threshold, right, where like shooting better is enhanced by particular equipment, right? Like if you're trying to shoot a Glock 19 at the same level that someone else is shooting like a Shadow 2, like that's going to be tough. Like you have a lot more mechanical challenges to overcome. The Shadow 2 makes things a lot easier mechanically.
Mhm.
but like you can get plenty good on a Glock 19, right? There are some great shooters out there who shoot stock Glocks and just run them like nobody's business. So will buying the Staccato potentially make you a better shooter? Sure, like your results might go up, your times might go down, and your hits might get better, but it's not going to change the fundamental flaws that you're experiencing. It's just going to cover them until your skill level reaches a point where like those flaws remanifest and you're going to have to overcome them eventually. So you might as well grind through it now.
Yeah, first thing, right?
Yeah, and every flaw you have as a shooter, like you can cover it with gear 100% for a short-term gain, but it will eventually come back. Like if your trigger control sucks, like a Glock will smack you in the face with bad trigger control. The Staccatos and the 2011s of the world most likely won't. You can get away with a lot because they're so light. But if you start to shoot them at a high level, eventually that will come back. And you'll be like, hey, in these particular instances, my trigger control is wrong. And you're going to be spending time working on the exact same thing with the MPA that you will with the Glock.
Yeah, so it's not the G43. It's my dumbass.
I mean, it's a mechanically difficult gun to shoot for sure. Like there is no question about that at all. But like there have been USPSA Grandmasters who have made Grandmaster runs with subcompact Glocks. It's hard. It's not something I would try and do. Like I shoot a full-size steel frame gun for a reason, guys. Like I'm not saying the gear doesn't matter. But if you learn to run that gun fast and accurately, the next time you pick up the Glock 17, you're going to be like, wow, this is pleasant. I can run this gun way faster. And I'm not just saying you have to go shoot a USPSA match with your 43X or 43 or go do anything crazy, right? But just conceptually, the more challenges you overcome as a shooter, the better rounded you will become and the more skills you will have in your toolbox. So that way, if you have to pick up a different gun for whatever reason, whether it's a sponsorship or you're switching divisions or you've decided that you don't trust your P320 anymore, you'll be able to run those other guns well.
Practice. Ammo. By the way, that site you sent me, what was it? Borelli or something?
Borelli, yeah.
Yeah, Borelli. That place has some really good pricing. I sent it to you, Rob, a couple of times, but you never answer me.
I just got an email from them today. It's $260 for 1,147 flat nose. So if you're looking for a factory competition load, that's a good place to start.
Do you think there's a big difference between round and flat nose?
Functionally, no. Some guns will, yeah. Like my rival steel frame back when I was shooting Canex wouldn't feed anything with a flat nose. So it made a difference there. The selling part of the flat nose is you can fit a heavier projectile at a longer overall length. So the 147 grain bullets can only be like the 9mm round can only be loaded so long before it no longer functions. And so with a 115 grain bullet, the round is so short, it really doesn't matter. You can load it in there and you're fine. But with a 147 grain projectile, the round nose are typically longer, and factories don't love super short rounds because if a bullet seats back, you can get a pretty dangerous situation with a high compressed load. So you truncate the cone of that bullet and you compress it, and you can get the same amount of mass in a shorter bullet.
You all right, man?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Was it truncated cone? Is that what got you?
A little quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah. It was an awkward silence.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So Whatever your gun runs is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had 1,000 rounds for, I think it was 235 free shipping.
Yeah,
That'd
that's
be
about
the-
right.
That's what we paid for at what was that, in PA when we went, Rob? That's how much we paid, 235. But that was including tax.
Or you guys can pitch in. You guys can all get a press together, and you can load your own for way cheaper.
I would be scared to reload.
Yeah. At first, at least, until you actually like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But it's
'Cause
like,
it's
who's
very-
gonna test that first?
It's very easy
one,
to
you know?
turn your handgun into a grenade.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what press you get. Like for
Mhm.
my press, it would be very, very difficult for me to double charge. Like I
Mhm.
would have to be actively negligent for
Mhm.
me to double charge a case.
Mhm.
I'm way more likely to squib than I am to double charge. So squibs aren't great, but they won't blow up your gun because they're pretty easy to figure out.
Mhm.
So I've never had a double charge, fingers crossed. But it would be very tough to do so, especially on like a modern progressive press where they have like safety ratchets that prevent you from like pulling the handle twice without fully rotating the shell plate.
Mhm.
I was scared of it for a long time too, but once you understand the mechanics of it and how it works, it
Mhm.
becomes pretty reassuring that you're like, hey, if I'm paying attention during this, it's not going to be a problem. And if I'm not paying attention, stop, take every round out of the shell plate, and just start over when you get back.
Makes sense.
Oh yeah, I'm going to sell you guys a reloading machine. I'm going to get you guys. Okay? I've got a master plan here. Okay.
Do you ever play with the the gunpowder in it loaded a little more, or you just do one? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm still trying to figure out the most optimal load. So when I was shooting the 320, because the slide was heavy, I needed more powder to get it to cycle reliably.
Mm-hmm.
With the Shadow 2 not needing as much powder,
Mm-hmm.
I realized my rounds were super hot. So the minimum power factor for USPSA is 125,
Mm-hmm.
and I was shooting at like a crisp 144, which is real spicy for competition.
Mm-hmm.
So all of you people out there who think competitors don't shoot real ammo, suck on that. So I'm going to dial it back a little bit. So yeah, I do play with it a little bit, but it's mostly tailoring it to the gun. Like what will the gun run? What's legal in the competition? That kind of thing.
So are you trying to upgrade your press? Is that why you're trying to sell us one?
Oh no, my press is tricked out. I'm keeping this bad boy. But, it does make life a lot easier. I don't have to wait for ammo to show up at my door. Like I can order components. It's also a lot cheaper to order components, depending on how you guys manage your finances and budget and stuff. But it's a lot easier for me to spend $250 every 3 months on bullets than it is for me to spend $250 a month on ammo, and chip away. Like I can spend $100 on primers now and $100 on primers later. And then eventually I've got 2,000 or 3,000 primers that are all backed up. So it works out. And then if I ever need ammo that I don't have loaded, I block out a couple hours and crank out some rounds.
How many times can you reload the shell?
So for handguns at handgun pressures, pretty much until the case fails. So if I go to resize it and it cracks, that's a good telling. Beyond that, it's really not an issue. If you're shooting like major power factor, you've got really high pressure, or you're doing something crazy like loading 9mm to major power factor, which is 165, then it gets a little sketchy. But everybody has different answers, and it also depends on the brass manufacturer. So like Starline Brass is like the top tier brass manufacturer, particularly for major power factor. And they've gotten hundreds of loadings at standard pressures, and they've gotten quite a few loadings at major. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. So rifles,
Mhm.
you've got a little bit more math to do there to figure out how many loads you can get out of it because you're also trimming and resizing and annealing. But
Mhm.
for handguns, just keep cranking on them.
You don't want to be like what's his name, Elmer Keat. The didn't he make the 357? I think that's his name.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
I think that's his name. It's a little late.
You said who made the 357 Magnum?
Yeah, just by stuffing as much gunpowder in a in a round as you can.
Yeah, I mean, like there are people who load 9mm to major power factor, and that quite literally is as much powder as a 9mm case can hold. You just pack it full, throw a 124 grain projectile on it, and compress the powder. And those bad boys are cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it says Elmer Keith, Philip B. Sharp, and Douglas B. Wilson.
I wonder how many guns they blew up doing that. You know what I mean?
You
They have
got to
to have
work hard to
failures.
blow up a gun.
Huh?
You got to work hard to blow up a gun,
Yeah.
especially a revolver where you've got
Mhm.
all those gases to. You've got all that. Oh, what's that called? The little boomer gap. Those things.
Oh, the
Cylinder gap. That's what it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
There we go.
yeah.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you've got that to burn off extra gases, that's a lot harder to blow up.
That is true.
That's one of my
Yeah.
favorite guns to shoot, Rob.
The 357.
I love that thing.
They said
So the
people.
Brings me
357,
back
you know,
to-
the
See, but I
problem
feel
with
like with the
43 is beating up
revolvers
your
also
wrist.
the timing, like the
What?
What'd you say, Austin?
Oh, I was saying with the timing of the cylinder, like I feel like can't they? I heard that too much of a kit can actually mess up like the timing of the cylinder on the revolvers.
That's if you have a piece of shit.
Rob doesn't buy pieces of shit.
Yeah, true.
He doesn't
Mhm.
have any kids.
What
Yeah,
were you saying, Josh?
I'm just
Mhm.
amazed that he's shooting the 357 and he's like, I love that gun, but the 43 is like an absolute non-starter.
Yeah,
I don't know what.
That's just like a pound and something. Maybe almost two, probably.
Yeah. Well, the 357 is also a double action, so that
Mhm.
helps. It takes away a lot of that trigger pull.
And it got the grip on it too fills your hand, so it doesn't.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Fill your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, next time you shoot your 43, take a video of it because I'm
Okay, I'll
curious
send it to you.
see.
Just
I'll
wrap
send it to you.
wrap some of that tape around it that they put
Goon
on
tape.
rackets. Yeah.
The goon tape. I tried to find some on Amazon, but like all of them said there's like no grip on this thing.
Mhm.
Like all the ones I saw on Amazon, all the people that were complaining was that there wasn't enough grip on this thing. So I gotta find some real good ones because Amazon, it's starting to get like Temu. Like people are going to Temu, buying crap, and then selling it on Amazon.
For like you're talking about a grip tape?
Yeah.
I mean, you should. I don't know if Talon makes a grip tape for that gun.
He said he was going to start selling the goon tape on his site, but I haven't checked if he did or not.
I've put all of my polymer guns have Talon grip tapes on them.
Mm-hmm.
They're just the granulate, the one that they say is too abrasive.
Mhm.
It is a phenomenal grip texture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that-
have those too, but I have like the rubber one, and that works pretty good for me too. You know what I mean? They have like the grip tape one, like you said, and they have the rubber one.
Yeah, I generally prefer super aggressive grips.
Mm-hmm.
Like if my hand is bleeding, that's like
That's what I need.
His job. Just
That's
get some
what I
skateboard grip tape, man.
That's what I
yeah.
was
I mean,
thinking
there are
of
people who
getting.
do that, but it doesn't sound like this is a grip problem.
Mhm.
It might be.
I don't know when
I have
shot
so
it, I
many
just
bad
found it
habits, Josh. It's
just like moving in my hand because my hands are so big I can't really, you know what I mean? get
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, without judgment, Dimitri, how often do you dry fire with this gun?
At least once a month, which I know that's not enough. Like
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah, I would say if you decided that you're gonna sell it, then like don't waste your time. But if you're like, hey, I want to at least try and make it work for the time being, just you don't even have to dry fire in like super rigid regimen, but just like handle the gun for like 10 or 15 minutes a day. Just like find a sight picture, clear it, practice your trigger press, like practice manipulations, establish your grip, like take the time to analyze your grip and be like, okay, am I contacting the gun in every way I can? Where is the pain coming from? Is it tension? Is it me over gripping? Am I hurting myself in some way? I think you might learn something there along the way. And at the very least, you'll become more familiar with it.
Okay.
And if you want to
Fair.
send videos, I do receive dry fire videos. So people will send me videos. Be like, what do you think of this? I don't know, man. I can't see your targets. That's my favorite type of TikTok message. Someone will send me a video. How did I do on this stage? I have no clue. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I can talk to you about the mechanical inefficiencies that I'm seeing, but I can't see your hits. I can't see the stage. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
And next time
Can't answer what
I
I
go
can't see.
shooting, I'll take a video.
Yeah, I'll be happy to take a look. The grip and stuff, that's easy to do through video. I'm more than happy to help you guys with that out. And then if you are looking for a match, there is one at that range in Bridgeville in the summer. I want to say it's June or something like that. And there are open spots in my squad. So if you want to come shoot a match with me, you're welcome to hop in there. It'll be a good time.
You want me to embarrass you?
Nah,
Is that what it is? It's like he's one of your trainees.
nah, not at all. Who's that guy? I've never met him before. In my life.
I don't know.
He looks an awful lot like this other guy I know.
He ain't shooting right, so.
Nah, but I mean, the only way you're going to learn is to go do it, right? And this one's a little bit
Yeah.
more expensive because it's a major match. I think it's like 10 or 12 stages. So, like, it's a full day type activity. But it's one of the only matches I'm shooting that still has spots available in my squad. So, I figured I'd throw that out to you guys if that interests you.
Heck yeah. That sounds badass.
So do you.
You all right, Austin?
It sounds like
No.
he's about to fall asleep.
No, I'm running off of no sleep, and like I said, the no nicotine thing. I feel like absolute shit.
Just
Would you quit?
smoke
Go
some
smoke a
crystals.
cigarette, dude. Go
Yeah,
smoke a cigarette.
It'll
I
make
don't
you
have
better.
I don't have any, but yeah, no, I quit. Were you not here, Josh, when we were talking about that? I quit nicotine.
Wow, congratulations, brother.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome. That's
Cut
really
out the carbs, cut out the nicotine, cut out the screen time, cut
Oh,
it all
man.
out, man.
Yeah, I tried to do carnivore again. I can't.
Why?
I don't know. I was just getting I was getting nauseous while I was eating because I couldn't do it. I was like,
Too
"Fuck
much
this."
meat.
Yeah, too much meat, basically.
I've successfully done it for the past week now, so it's been rough though. I'll say that there have been times where all I want is some cereal, or all I
A little
want
bit
is
of
some
cereal,
cereal, or like popcorn, or just something, something stupid or slight. But it's just I stick to it, and I just like today. I wanted a snack. I really wanted a snack, and all I did was just make some eggs and cheese. It's like,
Good
this
job,
isn't a
man.
snack, but
This is a meal.
yeah, exactly.
Do you know who Joey Sauerland is?
No.
So he's one of the fastest rising, like performing USPSA shooters. and he did a episode of the Hit Factor podcast with Jay Beal, who has also had a meteoric rise. And he talks in the podcast a lot about like the benefits of denying yourself something that you want. And I forget the source. You'd have to go and watch that podcast, which is well worth the time. But essentially, like, you're growing a part of your brain. Like, there's actually like a part of your brain that controls your ability to like say no to yourself. And so you can train that. And that was new to me. So you're doing that. Good for you.
Maybe that's why my head hurts so much and I have a headache.
No, I think that's withdrawals.
Yeah, that's what that is. Cold
Probably.
showers, Austin. Take cold showers, man.
Withdrawals from multiple different things, probably. But yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I mean, just like pushing myself, it's been great. You know, I mean, I've been trying to get better for my daughter. You know, get healthy for her, and also try to show her that you don't need screen time. You know,
Good luck, brother.
Yeah.
These kids are growing up with it, man.
Yeah.
There's like, I remember I had my Apple Watch, and both of my sons, I was holding them, right? They're like sitting in my arm, and they just go over to my watch and they started going. It's like it was just instinctual for them. I guess they saw me swipe on my watch or something like that, and they just started swiping on my watch. I'm like, what the hell is this? It's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's how they're gonna grow up, dude.
Yeah, no, I want to try to keep her away from screens, and I can't cut screen time from her without cutting it from myself. So I got back into reading books again.
Yeah.
And just trying to live better. But no, it's definitely hard. I'm hoping it gets better as the weeks go on. You know, the carnivore diet I don't plan on doing forever. I just kind of want to use it as like a reset, and at least for a couple months, and then slowly transition back into adding carbs in again. You know.
Yeah. Well, I got a good fast for us for the next time we do it. If you guys still want to do it quarterly, Rob, if you want to join, Josh,
Yes, sir.
Morgan, if you want to join the fast with us, with this one, the first day you have nothing but water and salt. The second day you can have 8 ounces of bone broth and then water and salt. And then the third day you have 16 ounces. You get spoiled on the third day. You get 16 ounces of bone broth.
Hey, that is spoiled.
Wow.
Yeah.
As appealing as that sounds.
Bro.
Well,
Should've
I don't
seen-
know if you know this or not, but we just went 4 days of water fasting. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it beneficial?
yeah, very
Yeah.
beneficial.
It's
So,
a
but
good
the bone
detox.
broth is like actually like a very big treat.
Yeah.
So, like to
It
you
gives
that
you
might
something.
to you that might sound like pretty shitty, but to us, like bone broth is like, wow, that's actually like a dessert right there. You know. So
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good time at all.
It's part of that training your brain part that you were just talking about.
Yeah. Well, there's also benefits I've heard and read and like looked into. That after 3 days, your body actually starts to eat cancer cells and stuff, and it actually combats cancer a lot better. It boosts your brain activity to where you're kind of
Trying to find food.
Yeah.
trying to
It's your
survive.
survival mode.
Yeah. But no, it has a lot of health benefits. Going past 3 days, like getting up to at least 3 days, you really start to tap into secret cheat codes of your body, and really helps you out some. So I would look into it at least and start working it in. But yeah, it's not as hard as you think it is. after the third day, it really it did get a lot easier.
Oh,
Or
day
they
4 pretty much sucked.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
you know why? The theory was that because you mentally are like equipping, like, you know, you're mentally saying, okay, the fast is going to end in 13, 12 hours or whatever. So your body begins to, like, I don't know how it works, but your body almost like prepares to receive food again.
it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. The shittiest part for me was I was in Costco, right? The day before. I was supposed to be out of town, but my dad got sick. And so we ended up having to come back and so I ended up going to Costco and I was out in the middle of the last day of the fast and I'm just sitting there looking at all the carts with all the little treats and everything, the samples. And my wife is just sitting there like, can you grab me that? Can you grab me that? Can you grab me that?
Oh, she's trying to set you
And,
up.
and all I was thinking was this amount of hours and I could try it again. But then it hit me. No, I'm going carnivore after this, so I can't even taste it then. Like there was a sample pack of what was it, mozzarella sticks,
Oh
and
man.
they looked so amazing. And I was about to buy a pack just so I could have them after the
We
fast
lost you there, Austin.
was over, and then I realized I couldn't.
We lost you. We didn't hear any of that.
No, you could sort of go.
You're all choppy and shit.
I
I think your internet needs some carbs too, buddy.
Carbs and
They've been doing. I got a text message today.
Oh shit.
They've
All
been
right.
doing service on the internet in the area.
Yeah, that reminds me. You remember the Android Patrick meme?
Mm-mm.
This video. Watching SpongeBob on an Android is apparently.
Oh man.
Austin, you there?
He keeps getting stuck. All right, well, I guess let's call it.
Yeah.
Let's call it. Josh, thank you for coming on again.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure, man.
Or miss less.
Oh, and then
You
Josh
gotta
got
probably
kicked off
refresh
too.
it.
Yeah,
There
it's
he
probably
is.
happened to all of us.
There we go. Did anybody else get kicked off from that?
Yeah, I got kicked off earlier.
Mm-hmm. So I'm probably gonna be next.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But Josh, thank you for coming, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you know, we'll see you next time, man. Anytime you want to come on, just let me know. There goes Rob. But yeah, anytime you have some availability, maybe we can come out and train with you some more. It's always a good time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Guys,
absolutely. Appreciate
Josh
you guys
Morgan.
taking the time, and I'm always down to train.
All right. Remember, everybody, that's ammo.
Ammo money right there.
Right.
You can follow Josh Morgan on his TikTok, Shoot More, Miss Less. Got a bunch of dope videos, training, doing some shooting. USP.
You got 19K out of that one.
Shooting. But yeah, like Dimitri said, thank you again. And don't forget to check out GoliathDefense.com and CockFirearms.com.
An American asshole.
Site-wide with checkout code 2AB.
Also, we're on all the major podcast platform thingies.
Amazon, Apple, iHeart, and Spotify. Come check us out.
All right, bye, everybody.
Okay,
Leave a comment.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Once you get into that, you start getting into a situation, the slippery slope, where all of a sudden you're going to really violate the Second Amendment. I don't want to do anything to violate the Second Amendment. To me, the Second Amendment is very important. I love this country. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.